The Vanishing of Eli Mercer. Part 3. Summer in the Sierra Verdes is a strange season. The land bakes in 100-degree heat by noon, then cools to 45 degrees under a sky littered with stars. The wind carries the smell of dust, juniper, and something else that no one can quite name. A metallic, ancient scent that feels out of place in modern air. Be sure to subscribe for more chilling tales. On June 18th, 2019, 9 months after Eli Mercer vanished, that wind carried something to a ranch hand named Dylan Ruiz, who was riding a fence line along the northern edge of Red Creek Ranch. He wasn't looking for anything unusual, just broken wire, tilted posts, stray cattle. Instead, he found the clue that would restart the entire investigation. The orange scrap in the brush. At around 3:40 p.m., Dylan noticed a faint flash of color among the sagebrush. Something bright, something fabric. He pulled his horse over, dismounted, and walked toward it. A piece of orange cloth, frayed at the edges, sun-bleached, but unmistakable. He knew the sheriff's department had been searching for items belonging to the missing hunter months earlier, but the official search had long ended. Still, something about this fabric made him uneasy. He kept looking. 20 feet farther upslope, something leaned against a narrow cedar trunk. A jacket, tan, lightweight, exactly the kind worn by hikers. He called the sheriff immediately. Within 4 hours, the site was flooded with deputies, crime scene techs, and members of the Verde County Search and Rescue Unit. They spread outward in a slow, coordinated pattern, and at 7:52 p.m., they found the remains under the shade of a thick ponderosa pine. Partly resting in a shallow cradle of needles were human bones, a rib cage, a pelvis, fragments of leg bones, a partial spine, and 20 inches away, the crown of a human skull. The area was quiet, eerily quiet. No animal tracks, no drag marks, no signs of scavenging or predation. The bones were clean, not gnawed, not cracked, not scattered across the hillside, just placed, as if the body had lain there undisturbed for months. Inside the jacket's left pocket, investigators found the remains of a cell phone, weathered, corroded, but identifiable by its casing. Back at the lab, the SIM card provided the final confirmation. It was Eli Mercer, but identifying the remains only triggered more questions. Because where the remains were found made no sense. The distance problem. The site was 11.2 air miles from Eli's last known GPS ping, 6.4 miles east of where his boots were discovered, 3 miles uphill from where his backpack was placed, and less than 1 mile from Red Creek Ranch. A straight downhill walk from the remains site would have led Eli directly to the ranch property, a 15-minute descent. Yet he had climbed away from it, not toward help, not toward civilization, but deeper into the harshest, least accessible terrain in the range. Investigators couldn't explain how a barefoot man, stripped of gear, weakened by exposure, and possibly hypothermic, could make that final climb. And that wasn't the only impossible detail. Searchers documented something unsettling. Eli's feet were not with the remains. No shoes, already known. But no socks, no bone fragments, no toe bones. Nothing. Every bone above the ankle was present. Nothing below it. This isn't normal decomposition. Not in the Sierra Verdes. Not with the scavenging patterns known to local wildlife. One investigator put it bluntly. It's like the lower legs were never here at all. But the rest of the body showed no sign of struggle or injury. No broken bones. No defensive wounds. No fractures consistent with a fall. His skeleton suggested he simply lay down and died. Like the mountains had told him to stop moving. The cell phone found near the torso should have provided answers, but technicians discovered the battery was dead. The internal components had suffered water and temperature damage. No data could be recovered, but one detail was chilling. The phone was powered off when found, not drained to zero, not frozen mid-use, manually turned off. If Eli had the phone in his final hours, he didn't attempt to call for help. Not 911, not his friends, not the ranch below him. He either chose not to, or he was unable to understand what the phone was for. Crime scene technicians noted something else. The remains were found on a slope with a clear, unobstructed view of Red Creek Ranch. The warm, lit, functioning ranch. Cabins, generators, vehicles, people. From that final resting place, anyone could see smoke rising from the chimneys, hear faint motor noise. At night, they would have seen the lights across the valley. A safe haven so close, the human mind should instinctively move toward it. Yet Eli had gone the opposite direction, uphill, barefoot, against terrain that even fully equipped hikers avoid. It was behavior that wasn't just unusual, it was illogical, though the official report labeled the death environmental exposure. A former detective, who later wrote anonymously online, shared something revealing. There was no scenario that made sense. None. Every direction he traveled defied logic. Every item he left behind seemed staged. It was like watching someone perform tasks in the right order, but for the wrong reasons. Another searcher later added, "I've seen hypothermia. This wasn't hypothermia. This was something else." But what something else could explain? The boots left neatly together. The pack abandoned, but untouched. The thermos placed with care. The climb away from rescue. The missing feet. The unbroken bones. And the phone turned off. No one had answers. Not then. Not today. The case goes cold again. By late summer 2019, with the remains collected and the site mapped, the investigation was formally closed. The sheriff's department cited disorientation, weather conditions, environmental exposure, and possible hypothermia, but internally many felt unsettled. Too many pieces didn't align. Too many actions defied survival instinct. Too many discoveries appeared staged, deliberate, or impossibly timed. And though Eli Mercer had finally been found, his story had only become more disturbing because another revelation still waited. Something buried in the behavior timeline. Something overlooked until a retired search coordinator reviewed the entire case 2 years later. Something that changed the interpretation of Eli's final days entirely. If you have thoughts or theories, leave them below. And as always, stay safe out there.